Just starting the live. Happy Thanksgiving! Woo! Kelsey? Mom? She did all the cooking, thank God. Because I was struggling. Good job, baby! Oh shoot, Gabby's gangster. Look.
In the early hours of February 20th, 2021, a 30-year-old mother of two was found dead, with multiple gunshot wounds in the hallway of her Colorado Springs home. Tashiana Blake had been building a promising career as a realtor and creating a stable life for her young daughters. She had just celebrated her family's Thanksgiving on social media months earlier, showcasing what appeared to be a perfect life. And now, she was gone forever. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered a tragic truth. The person responsible wasn't a stranger breaking into their suburban home, but the very one who had pledged to love and protect her, her husband, an active-duty Army sergeant stationed at nearby Fort Carson. This is the tragic case of Tashiana. Blake, 30-year-old Tashiana Blake, was born on June 12, 1992, with Jamaican roots that influenced her vibrant personality and zest for life. Those who knew Tashiana remember her as energetic and ambitious, someone who radiated positivity and determination wherever she went. She had a deep passion for real estate and a natural ability to connect with clients, building a reputation for professionalism in the competitive Colorado Springs market. Her energy was contagious, and her presence left a lasting impact on everyone she met. Hey everyone, welcome to my first virtual open house at 46728 Black Saddle Drive. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Tashi. I'm with Melissa, and we're going to be showing you around. Tashiana also loved documenting her life on social media, often sharing snapshots that reflected her bright spirit and love for connecting with others. She attended college, where she left a lasting impression on both classmates and professors with her vibrant energy and strong work ethic. That same lively spirit followed her into adulthood, where she pursued her passion for real estate and became a respected professional in her field. To those who knew her, Tashiana's sense of style and professional demeanor were always impeccable, turning heads and winning clients wherever she went. But beyond the career success and social media presence, Tashiana was deeply compassionate and family-oriented. She treated everyone with kindness and respect, giving love freely and sincerely. So it was no surprise when she caught the attention of a man who would go on to change her life forever. Tashiana eventually met Dermot Blake, a fellow Jamaican, who was serving as an active-duty sergeant at the nearby Fort Carson military base. The connection between them was instant. They were young, full of life, and shared cultural roots. From the outside, their relationship seemed happy and genuine. Although much is not publicly known about their courtship, what was clear was that they quickly fell for each other. Dermot had been in the Army for over 4 years, working as a specialist in his unit. He appeared focused and dedicated to his military career, while Tashiana was building her professional reputation in real estate. They spent more and more time together, and as their bond deepened, their lives took a major turn when they decided to formalize their relationship. In 2015, Tashiana and Dermot married, embarking on the journey of building a life together in Colorado Springs. Their wedding marked the beginning of what seemed to be a promising union, blending their Jamaican heritage with their American dreams. Their shared background provided a foundation of understanding, while their individual pursuits complemented each other in what appeared to be a balanced partnership. Not long after their marriage, the couple welcomed their first daughter into the world. From the very beginning, it was as if motherhood came naturally to Tashiana. She embraced it with grace and warmth, seamlessly stepping into her new role while maintaining her professional ambitions. Her social media became a reflection of the joy she felt, filled with adorable photos and videos of her baby girl. The family continued to grow with the arrival of a second daughter. Their presence brought even more love into the home, and Tashiana embraced motherhood with the same passion and tenderness she always had. By 2021, her daughters were 7 and 5 years old, the center of a life that Tashiana had carefully built and nurtured. Despite the demands of raising 2 young children, Tashiana never let motherhood define her completely. She built an identity that balanced her role as a mother with her career aspirations. Her social media posts often centered around her children, reflecting a profound love captured in her own words. "I'll do anything for my kids. My kids are my life." Friends described her as a hands-on mum who never missed a school event, no matter how busy she was with property showings or client meetings. She treated each of her children as individuals, nurturing their unique personalities. with care and understanding. She documented every special moment, from first steps to school performances, creating a digital scrapbook of their childhood. The Blake family lived in a townhouse in a quiet neighborhood of Colorado Springs. Nestled against the eastern edge of the Rocky Mountains, the city is known for its stunning natural beauty and access to outdoor adventure. It's home to iconic landmarks like Pikes Peak and the unique red rock formations of Garden of the Gods Park. The city also has a significant military presence with installations like Fort Carson and the U.S. Air Force Academy nearby, influencing its culture and economy. As a military family, the Blakes navigated the unique challenges that come with service life. Dermot's position at Fort Carson provided stability unusual for many military families, allowing them to establish roots in one community rather than facing frequent relocations. His role as a sergeant reflected his years of service and dedication to his career, earning him respect among his peers and superiors. Tashiana filled their home with thoughtful touches, making their townhouse a true family haven. She organized birthday celebrations with heartfelt personal details and created spaces where her daughters could play and grow. By all outward appearances, the Blakes were living the American dream. A beautiful family, stable careers, and a comfortable home in a desirable community. For Thanksgiving 2020, just months before tragedy struck, Tashiana posted a heartwarming video of their family celebration. "Thank you, Mom, for cooking. Oh yeah, you cooked the goat. Thank you, Lord. They flew all the way out from New Jersey to be here. I am so excited. Happy Thanksgiving," she said in the video, surrounded by family and friends. The gathering showcased what appeared to be a loving family unit celebrating together, with no visible signs of the troubles that might have been brewing beneath the surface. On January 30th, 2021, Tashiana celebrated her 30th birthday, a milestone that underscored the bright future she was actively building. Just weeks later, her life would be cut tragically short. To the outside world looking at Tashiana's social media or meeting her professionally, the Blakes appeared to be a picture-perfect family, a successful young couple with adorable children, building their American dream together. Their home was filled with laughter and love. Their careers were on solid footing. Their children were healthy and thriving, but like many families, what was presented to the world was carefully curated, showing only what they wanted others to see. Behind closed doors, a different reality was taking shape, one that would ultimately end in unimaginable violence. As we explore Tashiana's story, we're forced to confront the uncomfortable truth that sometimes the people closest to us are hiding sides we never imagined possible. In July 2019, court records revealed a significant crack in the foundation of the Blake family when Tashiana and Dermot took a dramatic step. They filed for divorce, a clear indication that serious problems existed beneath the surface of their shared life. Something was fundamentally wrong in a marriage that had until then appeared stable to outside observers. On the very same day they filed for divorce, police were called to their residence for a reported domestic disturbance. When officers arrived, they spoke with both Tashiana and Dermot about the incident. Initially, they both told the responding officers that the argument had only been verbal, a disagreement, nothing more. They presented a united front to law enforcement, minimizing whatever had happened between them. However, someone else present at the scene offered a different crucial perspective. This third party indicated to police that Dermot had physically assaulted Tashiana during the altercation. Despite this report of physical violence, for reasons not detailed in official records, no charges were filed in connection with this incident in 2019. A documented instance of alleged physical violence had occurred, and yet no legal action followed. Then came an unexpected turn in their relationship. Just a few months later, in October 2019, their divorce case was dismissed. They withdrew the filing, choosing not to separate legally. They decided to remain married, to keep their family unit intact despite the serious problems that had driven them to consider divorce in the first place. Had they genuinely resolved the deep-seated issues that led them to the brink of divorce and resulted in a police response reporting physical assault? Or had they simply pushed the problems back down, allowing a dangerous dynamic to persist, hidden from the view of the outside world? These questions would later haunt those who knew them after the tragedy that eventually unfolded. After the reconciliation, Tashiana and Dermot resumed their life together, once again presenting the image of a happy, unified family to friends, neighbors, and social media followers. Holiday photos reappeared on Tashiana's accounts, showing smiling faces and family celebrations. The pattern of portraying perfection continued, masking whatever tensions remained beneath the surface. Meanwhile, Tashiana's real estate career continued to flourish. Clients praised her professionalism and knowledge, highlighting her skill in navigating home purchases efficiently. "Very professional and very knowledgeable," one client commented about her service. This wasn't just a job for Tashiana. It was a burgeoning career she was passionate about and excelling in. Her success might have been a point of pride in a healthy relationship, but according to those who knew the couple, it became a source of tension. As Tashiana's star rose professionally, the dynamic between her and Dermot shifted. After the tragedy, Tashiana's family would later share their perspective that Dermot struggled with his wife's success and independent spirit. He couldn't handle the fact that Tashiana was a bright light that he couldn't put out, a family member stated after the murder. She was loved by everyone who came across her. This sentiment suggested a relationship where one partner's growth was perceived as threatening, rather than celebrated by the other. Yet despite these underlying tensions, the couple maintained their household and continued raising their daughters together. Tashiana's days were full, managing her real estate showings and client meetings while ensuring her daughters had everything they needed. She maintained their home, coordinated school activities, and kept up appearances of normalcy. For Dermot, military life came with its own pressures. The culture of the military, with its emphasis on control and hierarchy, sometimes follows service members home. While most military families handle these stresses without violence, the structure can exacerbate existing tendencies in troubled relationships. His role as a sergeant meant responsibility and authority at work, expectations that some struggling individuals inappropriately extend to their home environment. The contrast between their public and private lives grew more pronounced. On social media and in community settings, they were the Blake family, successful, attractive, and apparently happy. Behind closed doors, the relationship had deteriorated to the point where divorce had been considered, police had been called, and allegations of physical assault had been made, yet they continued to maintain their facade. They attended community events together. They took family photos. They participated in their children's school activities. Neighbors who saw them coming and going from their townhouse had no reason to suspect the tensions brewing inside. Co-workers and friends saw only what the couple wanted them to see, carefully edited highlights of family life that excluded the darker moments. In the weeks leading up to February 2021, Tashiana continued her work as a realtor, showing properties and building her client base. She celebrated her 30th birthday on January 30th, a milestone that should have marked the beginning of an exciting new decade of her life. Her daughters were thriving in school, growing into their unique personalities under her nurturing care. Is no public record of any specific incident between January 30th and February 20th that might have foreshadowed the violence to come. Like many victims of domestic homicide, Tashiana went about her normal routines, perhaps hoping things would improve, perhaps planning changes, perhaps not recognizing the full danger of her situation. What happened behind the closed doors of the Blake family home in those final days remains largely unknown. What is known with certainty is that on February 20th, 2021, whatever tensions, control, and anger that had been building in their relationship would erupt with deadly force, ending a young mother's life and forever altering the lives of her two young daughters who would witness the unthinkable. The evening of February 19th, 2021, began like many others in the Blake household. The family went through their normal Friday routines in their townhouse in the Squawbush Ridge Grove area of Colorado Springs. Tashiana had spent the day showing properties to clients, while Dermot had completed his duties at Fort Carson, returning home for what should have been a peaceful weekend with his family. Inside the Blake home, the family had dinner together, with no indication it would be their last as an intact family. Tashiana helped her daughters, ages 7 and 5, with their evening routines, homework checks, baths, and bedtime stories. These moments of maternal care would be the final memories of normalcy her children would have with their mother. The girls drifted off to sleep in their bedroom. The house grew quiet. Neighbors later reported seeing normal activity at the home earlier in the evening, but nothing unusual or concerning. No raised voices were heard through the walls of the townhouse complex. It appeared to be a typical Friday night for the Blake family. What exactly transpired between Tashiana and Dermot in the late hours of February 19th and the early morning of February 20th remains largely unknown. What might have begun as a discussion or disagreement escalated to an unimaginable level of violence. The specific trigger for the confrontation has never been publicly confirmed. Around 12:50 a.m., the quiet of the sleeping house was shattered. The Blake children, asleep in their bedroom, were suddenly awakened by loud, terrifying sounds, gunshots echoing through their home. Confused and frightened, they heard their mother's voice calling out to them from the hallway outside their room. According to the testimony later provided by the 7-year-old daughter, the girls left their bedroom to investigate the frightening sounds and their mother's calls. What they found was a scene of horror that would forever change their lives. Their mother, Tashiana, was lying on the floor in the hallway outside their bedroom, covered in blood, gravely wounded, but still conscious in these moments. Their father, Dermot, was standing in the hallway with a gun in his hand. Rather than protecting his family from danger, he had become the danger. The children witnessed a confrontation that defies comprehension, a husband standing over his injured wife, demanding something from her in her final moments of life. According to the 7-year-old's account, Dermot repeatedly told Tashiana to apologize. In a detail that is profoundly difficult to process, the little girl witnessed her mother saying, "I'm sorry," just moments before her father shot her in the head. This final fatal shot came after Tashiana had already been hit multiple times, a deliberate execution in front of their children. Evidence at the scene would later show that Tashiana had suffered 6 gunshot wounds to her body. An additional bullet had struck the drywall behind her, indicating the ferocity of the attack. The physical evidence painted a clear picture of a deliberate and sustained assault, not a momentary loss of control. As their mother lay dying on the hallway floor, the children begged their father to stop the violence. Their pleas fell on deaf ears as Dermot completed his deadly assault on their mother. In a heartbreaking detail later shared by investigators, the 7-year-old daughter wanted to call the police for help, but hesitated because, despite what she had just witnessed, she still loved her father. At exactly 12:51 a.m., a call came into the Colorado Springs Police Department's communications center. The caller was Dermot Blake himself. His statement to the dispatcher was chillingly direct and devoid of emotion. He reported that he had shot his wife and added that she was a terrible person. There was no panic in his voice, no request for medical assistance for Tashiana, no concern expressed for his children who had witnessed his actions. Police officers responded rapidly to the scene. Arriving at the Squawbush Ridge Grove residence, around 1:00 a.m., they prepared for the dangerous situation of an armed suspect reported to have already committed violence. When they entered the home, they discovered the grim scene in the upstairs hallway. Tashiana Blake's body, the evidence of multiple gunshot wounds clearly visible. Dermot Blake was still present when officers arrived and was immediately detained. He was found with blood on his clothing, physical evidence of his proximity to the violence. He offered no resistance to the officers, making no attempt to flee or to harm himself. His demeanor was described as calm, unnervingly so given the circumstances. Inside the home, officers found the 2 young daughters, physically unharmed but in a state of severe psychological trauma. They had witnessed the murder of their mother, at the hands of their father, a horrific experience that would shape the course of their entire lives. Officers worked to separate the children from the crime scene, to shield them from further exposure to their mother's body and the evidence of violence. The children were taken from the home and placed in a secure environment where they could be interviewed by specialists trained in handling traumatized child witnesses. Their accounts, particularly that of the 7-year-old who provided clear details about what she had seen and heard, would become crucial evidence in understanding exactly what had happened in those terrible moments. As dawn broke over Colorado Springs on February 20th, 2021, 2 young children faced a reality that was unimaginably altered from the life they had known just 24 hours earlier. Their mother was gone, killed violently before their eyes. Their father was in police custody, the perpetrator of the violence rather than their protector. Their home was now a crime scene, taped off and filled with investigators rather than a place of safety and comfort. Following Tashiana's murder, the Colorado Springs Police Department's Violent Crimes Section took over the investigation. Crime scene technicians methodically documented every detail of the Blake home, photographing the hallway where Tashiana was found, collecting 6 shell casings, and mapping blood spatter patterns on the walls and floor. The autopsy conducted by the El Paso County Coroner's Office confirmed Tashiana Blake had died from multiple gunshot wounds. 6 distinct bullet wounds were documented, with the final shot to her head determined to be the fatal injury. The trajectory of the bullets indicated She had been standing when the initial shots were fired, before collapsing to the hallway floor. Ballistics experts confirmed all bullets came from the same 9mm handgun found at the scene. The bullet embedded in the drywall helped reconstruct the shooting sequence and angles. Blood pattern analysis showed arterial spray consistent with the victim being shot multiple times while still alive, corroborating the timeline described by the children. Investigators reviewed doorbell camera footage from neighboring homes, establishing that no visitors had come to the Blake residence in the hours leading up to the shooting. This confirmed that only the family had been present during the incident and eliminated any possibility that Dermot had been elsewhere when the shooting occurred. The most damning evidence came from the 7-year-old daughter's testimony. Child. Interview specialists conducted careful, trauma-informed interviews with both girls. The older daughter provided a chillingly clear account of being awakened by gunshots, hearing her mother call for them, and finding her bleeding on the floor in the hallway. Her description of her father demanding that her mother apologize, and then shooting her in the head after she said, "I'm sorry," provided powerful evidence of deliberate action rather than a spontaneous outburst. She described begging her father to stop and her conflicted feelings of still loving him despite what she had witnessed. The level of detail she provided, consistent with the physical evidence, made her testimony unassailable. Neighbors reported hearing multiple gunshots around 12:50 a.m., followed by what sounded like children crying. One neighbor described hearing raised voices shortly before the gunshots. Family members provided context about the Blake relationship, describing Tashiana's growing success as a realtor and Dermot's apparent resentment of her independence. Based on this evidence, the district attorney filed formal charges against Dermot Blake. First-degree murder, which requires proof of deliberation and intent, along with 2 counts of child abuse for exposing his daughters to the trauma of witnessing their mother's murder. Due to the severity of the charges, Dermot was held without bond at the El Paso County Jail. Despite the evidence against him, he entered an initial plea of not guilty. The trial didn't begin until November 1, 2022, more than 20 months after Tashiana's death. Defense attorneys faced the challenging task of countering overwhelming evidence. They focused on arguing against the element of premeditation required for a first-degree murder conviction, suggesting instead that the shooting was a spontaneous, emotional reaction that should be classified as second-degree murder or manslaughter. When the trial began, prosecutors methodically presented their case. They called forensic experts who detailed the physical evidence, neighbors who testified about what they had heard that night, and family members who provided background on the couple's relationship. A recorded interview with the 7-year-old daughter was played for the jury, sparing her the trauma of appearing in court, but allowing jurors to hear her account in her own words. The defense described the shooting as a hasty, impulsive, drunken reaction to an argument. At one point, they made a motion for a mistrial, claiming the prosecution had failed to disclose evidence from Tashiana's phone that allegedly showed she had been having an affair. The prosecution countered that they had provided all phone data to the defense twice before trial, and their records showed the defense had downloaded this information. They argued that even if an affair had occurred, it wouldn't negate the evidence of premeditation shown by Dermot's actions that night, particularly his demanding an apology before firing the final shot. The judge denied the motion for a mistrial. After 10 days of testimony and arguments, the jury deliberated on the evidence. Their decision would determine whether Dermot Blake would face a mandatory life sentence or potentially less time with the possibility of parole. The verdict was decisive. The jury found Dermot Blake guilty of first-degree murder and both counts of child abuse. The first-degree murder conviction carried a mandatory sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole in Colorado. For the child abuse convictions, he received 2 additional 12-month terms to be served concurrently. When given the opportunity to speak before sentencing, Dermot declined to address the court. He offered no explanation, no remorse, no words for the family of the woman he had killed or for his children who had witnessed the murder. For Tashiana's family, the verdict brought a measure of justice, but could never repair what had been broken. "He got what he deserves," stated Tashiana's uncle, Vinare Brown, reflecting the family's sense that the legal system had worked correctly even as they continued to grapple with their profound loss. In the aftermath of the trial, Tashiana's 2 young daughters faced the enormous challenge of rebuilding their lives without their mother. The girls who had witnessed the unthinkable were placed in the custody of their grandparents. These family Members took on the profound responsibility of not only providing daily care, but helping the children process a trauma few can comprehend. The psychological impact on the girls cannot be overstated. Child psychologists specializing in trauma note that witnessing the murder of a parent by another parent creates a complex form of grief compounded by betrayal trauma. The children must simultaneously mourn their mother while reconciling that their father, a person meant to protect them, is responsible for her death. This duality creates unique therapeutic challenges, requiring specialized long-term support. Tashiana's funeral became a gathering point for a community in shock. Photos of her smiling face adorned the service program, with quotes highlighting her love for her daughters and passion for life. Friends and family shared stories of her vibrant personality, professional accomplishments, and unwavering dedication as a mother. The service balanced grief with a celebration of the joyful spirit she had brought to so many lives. The Colorado Springs community rallied around the family in tangible ways. Real estate colleagues established a trust fund for the girls' education. Neighbors organized meal deliveries and offered practical support to the grandparents who suddenly found themselves raising young children again. The local military community, while distancing itself from Dermot's actions, provided resources through family support services. Beyond the immediate family, Tashiana's case forced a wider reckoning with the realities of domestic violence. Experts point out that her story illustrates how public appearances can mask dangerous private dynamics. The Blake family's social media presence projected happiness and stability while concealing serious problems, a common pattern in domestic violence cases. The 2019 police call that documented alleged physical violence but resulted in no charges represents a critical missed opportunity. Domestic violence specialists emphasize that such incidents should trigger comprehensive follow-up and safety planning, even when victims minimize what occurred. When the divorce filing was withdrawn months later, no system existed to check whether the underlying issues had been resolved. Military family support advocates note that service members experience unique stresses that can exacerbate relationship problems. Deployments, relocations, and the hierarchical culture can sometimes create conditions where control dynamics develop or intensify. While the vast majority of military families navigate these challenges without violence, the importance of accessible mental health services and relationship support cannot be overstated. Colorado's domestic violence resources include confidential hotlines, emergency shelters, legal advocacy, and counseling services. Yet Tashiana's case highlights how difficult it can be to recognize danger in one's own relationship. Many victims don't identify with the term domestic violence until situations escalate significantly, believing their problems are simply relationship issues that can be resolved. Looking back, several warning signs were evident in the Blake relationship. The 2019 domestic disturbance call and divorce filing pointed to serious problems. Family members' later observations about Dermot's inability to handle Tashiana's success and independence reflect common controlling dynamics. The reconciliation, without apparent resolution of these issues, followed a pattern domestic violence experts recognize as part of the cycle of abuse. Research shows that the most dangerous time for domestic violence victims is when they attempt to leave the relationship. While it's unknown if Tashiana was considering separation again before her murder, experts emphasize the importance of safety planning with professional support when leaving potentially dangerous relationships. For children who witness domestic violence, trauma-informed care is essential. Specialized therapeutic approaches help young survivors process their experiences without self-blame. Stable routines, consistent caregiving, and appropriate age-based explanations provide crucial foundations for healing. Perhaps most importantly, these children need permission to love both parents while understanding that violent behavior is never acceptable. Tashiana's legacy lives on in the memories of those who knew her. Colleagues in real estate describe her infectious enthusiasm and dedication to clients. Friends recall her laugh and generous spirit. Family members speak of her determination to provide opportunities for her daughters and build a successful life. The void left by her absence is felt most acutely by her daughters, who lost not only their mother, but their sense of safety and family structure in a single night. As they grow, they will continually reprocess their loss at each developmental stage, understanding new dimensions of their trauma as they mature. Yet with proper support, children can develop resilience even after experiencing severe trauma. In the Colorado Springs community, particularly among military families, Tashiana's story has prompted difficult but necessary conversations about relationship dynamics and warning signs. Local domestic violence organizations reported increased calls following media coverage of her case, suggesting her tragedy may have helped others recognize dangerous patterns in their own relationships. The bright light that Tashiana brought to the world, the quality her family said Dermot couldn't handle, continues to shine through those who remember her. Her story, while tragic, serves as a powerful reminder about the realities of domestic violence and the importance of recognizing warning signs before they escalate to tragedy. Tashiana Blake's life was cut short at just 30 years old, with all the promise and potential of her future extinguished in moments of violence. Yet her story serves an important purpose in raising awareness about the often hidden nature of domestic abuse and the critical importance of supporting those at risk. 4. Anyone experiencing control, isolation, or fear in a relationship, resources are available. National and local hotlines provide confidential support and safety planning. For those concerned about someone they know, learning to recognize warning signs and how to offer support without judgment can make a difference. This has been the tragic case of Tashiana Blake, a young mother and promising professional whose life and death remind us of the importance of seeing beyond appearances to recognize and address the dangerous realities that may exist behind closed doors.